Today, October 22nd, the night Moscow's pride turned to smoke. The city slept under its usual blanket of confidence, the skyline glowing with golden lights, monuments standing tall, symbols of a nation that believed itself untouchable. But hundreds of miles away, deep inside Ukraine, a different kind of storm was forming, one not made of clouds, but of steel, circuitry, and determination. For months, Ukrainian engineers had been working in silence, deep underground, in hidden workshops powered by generators and guarded by soldiers. They weren't building tanks. They weren't building missiles. They were building something smaller, smarter, deadlier. Swarms of custom drones that could travel hundreds of kilometers undetected, capable of carrying precision explosives. The operation was codenamed Silent Thunder. Its goal, to strike at the very heart of Russia's war machine, inside its own capital. By midnight, a convoy of trucks carrying modified launchers rolled out from a secret Ukrainian airstrip. Soldiers loaded each drone like ammunition, connecting them to encrypted guidance systems synced with satellite feeds. A single order echoed across the comms. Launch sequence, green. At 12:47 a.m., the first wave lifted into the cold night. Silent, invisible, deadly. Dozens more followed, ascending like dark birds into the clouds. To the human eye, they were nothing more than shadows. But to those watching the radar screens in Moscow's defense network, they were ghosts, appearing, disappearing, then multiplying. Inside the Kremlin's air command bunker, alarms began to wail. "Unidentified inbound targets, multiple directions," one officer shouted. But it was already too late. Ukraine's drones had crossed into Russian airspace, flying below radar at barely 50 meters above ground, weaving between power lines and forest shadows. These weren't the cheap hobby drones seen early in the war. They were sophisticated, engineered with 3D printed bodies, infrared shields, and autonomous flight software that could reroute midair if jammed. At 1:23 a.m., the first explosion rocked the outskirts of Moscow. A defense contractor's warehouse erupted into a massive fireball. Within seconds, social media lit up with videos, orange flashes, thunderous booms, and terrified voices. The Russian Ministry of Defense scrambled fighter jets. Su-35s roared into the night sky. But the enemy they were chasing was invisible. The drones were too small, too low, too many. For every one shot down, 5 slipped through. Then came the second wave, this time targeting critical infrastructure, an oil refinery, a weapons calibration plant, and even an airbase used to coordinate missile strikes on Ukraine. Explosions tore through the industrial belt, turning Moscow's night sky into a canvas of fire. In Kiev, Ukrainian commanders watched through live satellite feeds. Every detonation marked another successful hit. Target Bravo, neutralized. Target Echo, complete. Their voices were calm, clinical, but their eyes told a different story. For the first time, Ukraine had struck not just a Russian city, but the very symbol of Russian power. By 2:00 a.m., chaos reigned. The Kremlin's top generals were awakened, demanding explanations. Air defense systems, the billion-dollar S-400s and Pantsir S-1s, were firing blindly into the sky. But their high-tech radars couldn't lock onto targets the size of backpacks. Inside Moscow, traffic came to a standstill. Civilians rushed to underground shelters as sirens screamed across districts. A thick wall of black smoke rose from multiple points. The oil depots, the arms factory, the electronic warfare hub, all hit within 30 minutes. Western intelligence agencies were watching too. American satellites, NATO radar networks, and European observers all picked up the same shocking data. Moscow's defense grid had been breached by drones no larger than suitcases. When dawn arrived, the scale of the attack became clear. Entire sectors of Moscow's industrial region were still burning. Emergency crews fought to control the fires, but some sites were too dangerous to approach. Radiation sensors even triggered false alarms near a research facility, suggesting one of the drones had hit a storage area for advanced weapon components. Russian state media tried to hide the truth. They called it minor sabotage, But videos from ordinary citizens flooded the internet, buildings engulfed in flames, explosions echoing through the night, and streaks of fire crossing the sky. The illusion of safety had been shattered. By mid-morning, President Putin held an emergency meeting. Intelligence briefings painted a grim picture. Ukraine had used low-cost, autonomous drones to cripple a billion-dollar defense zone. And no one saw it coming. Reports suggested that the drones used a hybrid navigation system, part GPS, part AI, capable of identifying new targets on its own. For the Russian military, it was an embarrassment beyond words. For Ukraine, it was a statement. We can reach you, anywhere. Meanwhile, global reactions poured in. In Washington, officials praised Ukraine's strategic innovation. In Europe, leaders quietly applauded the psychological impact. In China, analysts studied every frame of footage, realizing how drone warfare had officially changed modern strategy forever. By the evening of October 22nd, Moscow looked like a city after an air raid. Smoke still billowed from its edges. Roads were blocked. Communication lines jammed. Panic spread online. But somewhere deep in the forests of eastern Ukraine, a small team of drone engineers watched the aftermath in silence. Their faces were tired, but their mission was complete. One of them whispered, "This is only the beginning." That phrase echoed across the world, reposted, shared, quoted. For every explosion, for every blackout, for every plume of smoke, Ukraine had sent a message not just to Russia, but to every nation watching. Technology and courage can defeat size and fear. Hours later, the Kremlin launched a retaliation strike. Missiles rained on Kyiv. But this time, Ukraine was ready. Air defenses intercepted 80% of them. In the skies, the new era of warfare had begun. Man versus machine. Empire versus innovation. The next morning, a satellite image captured what was once a proud industrial symbol of Moscow, now reduced to twisted metal and ashes. That image went viral across the world, captioned simply, "Moscow's pride, gone in smoke."